Amigos, amigas, es lunes, ya casi se termina octubre. Estamos aquí en el Mexican Soccer Show completamente en español porque nada más somos Tom y yo. Entonces lo vamos a hacer completamente en español. ¿Qué les parece a todos? ¿Qué dices, Tom? Wait, Tom, I think you're on mute. We can't hear you.
Sí, eso está bien. Cambiarlo un poco, ¿no? Hacer algo un poco diferente
para todos. El show de Mexican
la
Soccer Show completamente en español para todos nuestros amigos. Para que sepan. Y hay mucha gente que sí nos dicen, ¿por qué no hablan español? Que son de México. Guys, just kidding. We're going to do it in English. It's just going to be Tom and I today. Adriana running late. Cesar he's partying it up. His last days in,
straight out partying it up, Cesar.
Partying it up. No, it's his birthday, and he I think he was traveling, and he said, "Hey, I'm not gonna be okay." So he goes hard, man. So there's anybody, Cesar.
So he could buy him a birthday IPA.
IPA.
Sure, he'll be accepting of it.
He's we call it beer snob. What do they call it in Mexico, Tom? Are they like beer snobs? Like, do they call them something?
Mamon.
Mamon. Oh, it's gonna be a fun show, ladies and gentlemen. Great. Well, let's jump in. Tom and I are gonna be doing the show. Maybe Adriana could jump in. I know she's running a little late, and of course, Amy is in the background. She's probably I think that's why she muted Tom. She's like, all right, well, what's happening here? But we're gonna just jump right in. One of the questions is kind of, normally we try to talk about Liga MX, Mexico abroad, all that. But the question tonight is more on the prediction table because it's almost over. And actually, I'm glad that Tom is here when we ask this question. That if we're looking at it, the thing is, it's just me and you answering. But now with only 3 weeks away, who do you think is going to be the leader of the table, Tom? Because I think you're pretty much done, bro.
I think I'm pretty much done. I know that. I'm going to have to do some wild picks the last couple of weeks.
If you would have done wild picks this week, it would have been kind of crazy. Like, like Lobos and Puebla. Well, Puebla wasn't that big of a deal, but.
Yeah, but I mean, no, I think it's. Listen, I mean, if you go with most of the fans, when it's more than one fan voting, then you're always going to get pretty much the favorite. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So pretty much they've got the advantage there. So I give up.
It could work that way because if it's Chivas and America, they're always going to vote for Chivas in any game, and they're always going to vote for America, which is how I kind of use that to my advantage today, last weekend, because it was Chivas Cruz Azul. I mean, Cruz Azul, America, and New America, the fans are going to win the America, so I went with a tie. Because then the Cruz Azul will pick Cruz Azul, so I'm trying to get a little edge on the fans, which are, who are winning. But
yeah,
a lot of people have responded already. The fans are going to win. Yeah, Adriana's up there too. So if we're looking at points-wise, Adriana has 60 points. Mexican Soccer Show has 60 points. I have 59 points. Amy 56, Cesar 55, Tom 52. With 3 weeks, Tom, you would have to average 7 correct games at least, I think, and we're all averaging 2 or 3. So I don't think
still on.
Yeah. So you're telling me there's a chance. All right. Good. All right. Well, those are questions people are answering. They said, the fans are going to win. Fans are confident. So that's every Thursday or Friday around there. Mexican Soccer Show tweets all of the scores of the games, and you're able to choose. And yeah, maybe the fans are going to kick our butt. I think I'm averaging like 4 or 5 points. So I think it's crazy to predict Liga MX. So I think it's one of the craziest leagues. But let's jump in of what happened in Liga MX week 14. Tom, you were off for a couple of weeks. Well, a couple of weeks, right? And you really disconnected from Twitter, man. It was like, or even on WhatsApp, like I would message you and it's like, I'm in vacation mode. Leave me alone.
I'm in Vegas. Leave me alone.
Me in Vegas. I'm okay, man. I'm sorry. I had a question. I had a question. We weren't allowed to talk to Don Tom because he was in Vegas, and we're like, all right, we don't want to disturb him. It's true. You gotta have your vacation time. But you're in chance. You're back. Did you miss Liga MX, Tom? I mean, it comes down to.
Yeah, a bit. Yeah, I mean, obviously it's good to tune out for a week, but I watched quite a few games this last weekend, so I don't know. It's now the time, the business end of the season, isn't it? And you look at how tight the league is right now. I mean, I think it's what is it 5 points or no 3 points or something for the top 5 teams. You know, you've got 16 of the 18 teams still mathematically with a chance of going through. You know, and that's with three rounds of matches remaining. So yeah, I mean it's tight up there now. Obviously, maybe start with Chivas. I mean, I was at the game on Saturday, and you know, it's pretty much Chivas out there. I mean, I thought Chivas were the better team in the first half by quite a distance, and the same old story for Chivas. I mean, I think, you know, we get into this debate about, you know, the crisis the club has been in, and you know, and it's not going well for the club. You know what I mean? I'm not saying things behind the scenes are kind of going well or it's being well run. It's clearly not. But for me, the bottom line is if they continue to sell players, then they'll continue to fall down the league. And they go up against a team like Morelia, and you know that Morelia have got a decent chance. You know, and I thought Chivas actually played pretty well in that first half. Like they have done quite a lot recently. I mean, they do. I don't think they've lost by 2 goals very often at all in the last 18 months. I mean, when they lose games, they tend to lose them by 1 goal. They're always in the game. And if you look at kind of the expected goals, then Chivas are always up there. But they just, I don't want to simplify it too much, but they just fail to put the ball in the back of the net. I mean, you watch that first half against Morelia, and it's like, how have you only scored 1 goal? I mean, Saldiva could have had 3. You know, there was other good chances, and it's just like, I don't know what you do about it. You know, because in theory they've got 2 national team strikers up there.
All right, some problems here with my mic. Can you hear me now, Tom?
Yeah.
Sorry. I guess I was asking is, are they going back to that Chivas that we remember before the championship?
Yeah. I mean, like, that's exactly what it is. I mean, I think we've seen with Vergara, we've seen this kind of waves up and down, where the kind of team hits rock bottom, and then it's like, oh no, we got to do something. Let's spend this. Let's do that. Let's bring in Johan Cruyff. Let's let's restructure again. Let's get Almeida. You know what I mean? And buy Pulido, and let's buy Brizuela, and let's buy Obilin Pineda, and you know, Pereira, and let's go out and spend and create and craft a team, make a team, and then they kind of have a bit of success. And it happened 10 years ago as well with the the Massa Rodriguez generation, and Omar Bravo and all those guys, and then they sell the players, and they kind of just slowly go down again. I don't know, it's just waves like that, but you know, sometimes it's not as complicated football as people make out. I mean, they need to start investing. I mean, it's a big club. The fan base demands that they should be at the top. They should be near the top, and they're just not doing it. But
then again, it goes back to players don't want to sell it. You know, teams don't want to sell it back to Chivas. Their top players, they're too expensive, and they'll say. I mean, there's even things to talk about whether they really put them out there because Chivas needs that next goalkeeper. You know, the goal scorer or the best defender that's in Mexico that can play in Chivas or either go to Europe, and it's too expensive.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the other teams do hike the prices for Chivas, but at the end of the day, for me, that's offset with the marketing, the size of the Chivas as a club because they play with only Mexicans. I mean, Chivas make a lot of money off that, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And therefore, when they offer them, obviously, I mean, it's not fair in a lot of ways that the Chivas have to pay more money. But I mean, that's not the reason, because the Chivas have shown over the last few years that they can go out and spend money. The problem at Chivas right now is that they keep selling players. You know, for me, it's twofold. They're selling players. They don't have enough money to bring in quality players, and secondly, they're not putting the ball in the net. I mean, you know, it's quite ridiculous actually. You know how few goals they've managed to score, considering they tend to dominate possession. You know, probably second or third in the league. They have the ball, they create the chances, and they don't put it in the net.
Tom, could that be also because of the Mexican striker situation too? They're limiting themselves with the fact that they don't have strikers. And
yeah, for sure. I mean,
it goes back to the Mexican. Chivas is always going to have it harder because of that situation. I mean, you can bring in a good striker, and have the money to bring in a good striker, but because he has to be Mexico, that's what Chivas struggles, and that's why they always will struggle, at least in the goal scoring situation. I mean, if you look at it, if you're going to talk about the first, the last 3 great goal scorers in Mexico, you got to go back, and that went through Chivas. You got to go back to Chicharito. And they're going to be behind on that.
Well, yeah, I mean, but the other way you're looking at it is that all the rest of the teams are playing with foreigners, so surely there must be talent out there to scout around, to go around the U20 leagues, and try and pluck some of these players and produce players.
They would have to generate that, right? They got to look at the 20s, and they have to look at the young strikers that were coming in. But let's say Chivas had all the money in the world. What Mexican strikers would they be bringing in right now so they can score?
Yeah, I mean, they're struggling. It's they are struggling. It's a difficult one for them, and obviously, the ones that in Europe are never going to come back right now. I mean, I think Chicharito, and I don't think his family are particularly down with the ownership at Chivas either. Raul Jimenez is obviously on the up at Wolves, and yeah, they're struggling. I mean, they are struggling, but at the same time, they've got to be. I don't know if they've got to be smart about it. I'm not giving up on Saldiva yet either. I know a lot of people, and I see on Twitter as well, a lot of people giving up on him. I think all around he's a really good player. He's a team player, and if he can work on his finishing, if he can provide that finish, I think he'd score a lot of goals. But Cardoso right now doesn't have many options. Yeah. I mean, people are saying, JJ Macias, who's plays for the under-20s. They've got the kid Chevy Martinez. He plays at the under-17, scoring a lot of goals. But Macias, the couple of times I've seen him at youth level, he's not really. I don't know. Something about his attitude hasn't really impressed me. And obviously Sebastian Martinez is just a little kid. So as yet, So we'll see how it goes for Chivas. But yeah, I mean it's a difficult one for us.
On the chat, Luis Carlos Cataño said, since the Chicharito Fabian Vela generation, how many top players have come from their cantera? And Eldan the man kind of just responds, well, that can be said about any Liga MX teams except maybe Pachuca. It kind of goes back to that.
Yeah, I mean the thing with the Chivas youth team, Luis Carlos, is that they do produce players. I mean, you look around the league and you look at Fernando Gonzalez at Necaxa. You look at Victor Guzman, doing his thing at Pachuca, one of the brightest kind of U23 players out there for Mexico. They came from Chivas. I think that's where the running of the club has just been terrible. I mean, you can't let those players go. Obviously, Victor Guzman, they sold him to get Rodolfo Pizarro. I mean, that was part of the deal. So, but I mean, they've got to be smart about it, and they've not been smart about it. I mean, that's the bottom line. But when you're changing sporting director all the time, and you're changing in even the structure of the youth teams. I mean, remember, Cuero Real was doing it, and then you've got Johan Cruyff coming in with his team, Todd Bean, and all those guys. And then you're changing it consistent again and again. Then Almeida comes in, and he has some say over how it's being run. I mean, that's the confusion, and I think. That's a lot of the problem, with Chivas. I mean, they need to establish an identity. They need to establish a way of playing. But that's cultural as well. It's not. Mexican football culturally isn't geared towards long processes and waiting 10 years, 15 years to produce results. You know what I mean? It's all about now, what we're doing now for results. And that's where Chivas has suffered, I think.
Of course. It's like, again, it goes back to it's timed. How many times we have said, what does Chivas have to do? And then they have one miracle season, and then it just kind of goes back. So it's kind of like, okay, was that even a fluke? And you can attribute that to the coach or how it does.
The only thing I would say quickly, I mean, for me, they won the title, because they had a good manager and because they invested a lot of money. I mean, it's in good players, proven players. I mean, that's what they did, and they won the title and they won the CONCACAF Champions League. So yeah, but just one thing I've seen a lot of people kind of making fun of Chivas and stuff online, and the one thing I would say is that the last one of the big four teams in Mexico to win a title was Chivas, the reigning CONCACAF champions. You know, all right, things aren't going absolutely amazing right now, but you know, it's not. If you'd have asked a Chivas fan 3-4 years ago when they were on the brink of relegation, almost going down, and you'd have asked them, okay, 3-4 years, we'll give you one title, CONCACAF Champions League, place at the Club World Cup, but you're not going to make the playoffs for 3 seasons after your title. Would you take it? Plus, relegation issues, they're gone as well. And obviously, you know, I think the big thing for Chivas is what's the next step? Are they going to now react to how poor they've been the last few seasons in terms of finishing place in the league? And are they now going to go out there? Because, you know, the rumours about Alexis Vega, I think he'd be a really good player. And that's the thing we saw about the striker as well. There are a few out there. But obviously, Alexis Vega is going to be expensive from Toluca. You know, but when Oribe Peralta went from Santos to America, I mean, Chivas have got to be in those deals. Henry Martin as well. He might not be a world beater, but he's a solid striker. I mean, I don't know. Sometimes Chivas just have to pay that premium.
Hey, Peralta was in Chivas.
Hey, Oribe. Oh, yeah, for the Libertadores. Was it?
I think so, yeah. We'll continue to kind of just chat about Chivas because I don't think it goes away. And I've always said, you know, Chivas has a great team. I think, you know, Mexico overall because of even though I'm not a Chivas fan. So we're looking at the kind of table, Tom, and you kind of mentioned it a little bit. It's funny to mention that maybe a year ago, I think it was a year ago, we were talking to Naib, how there were no teams in Mexico City that were going to the you know, that go in the kind of the postseason, right? And there was like no football happening around. Now you have, you know, Club America, Cruz Azul, Pumas, you know, and you're kind of looking to see, okay, those are probably, you know, Santos in there right in the top 4. But then you have 25 points Toluca, 23 points Monterrey, 22 points Monarca, and then rounding off the top 8 is Tigres with 20 points. Then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 teams that are in the running to get to. There's 3 more weeks of. What are some teams that you would have to say it's an absolute failure if they don't make the Liguilla? I mean, if it's in those, Monterrey, Tigres are in the bottom 2. You have Pachuca, and obviously the big Guadalajara. You know, I would put in there, and I think Toluca's safe. I think they're, if we're looking at that, but.
Yeah, I mean, usually 25 points is almost a guarantee of getting you in. So Toluca on 25 right now, 3 rounds of games remaining. They've got to get a point from somewhere. So and I mean, I don't know. I think two things here. I think Morelia, the last few weeks, 3 consecutive wins. We've got to give absolute praise to Roberto Hernandez for what he's done there, because the way he lost Rui Diaz in the off season. Basically, you know, one of the league's best goal scorers, if not the Liga MX's best goal scorer. They lost him. He goes to Seattle Sounders. And for Hernandez to kind of get it together and get this team into 7th place, you know, I was at the game on Saturday. You watch him in the first 20, 25 minutes, you're thinking, this isn't a playoff team. This is a team that is kind of, you know, mid-table at best. But to be fair to Hernandez, I thought they set up to kind of try and weather Chivas' storm, and then in the second half they came into their own, and they obviously came back from 1-0 down. So I think you've got to give massive praise to Hernandez. He's changed the system as well, playing with pretty much 2 central strikers, lots of crosses into the box. You know, that's how he's got around kind of Rui Diaz, and he's even had the kind of the bottle to start Diego Valdez on the bench, which, you know, for me, you know, one of the best number 10s in Liga MX without a doubt. And, you know, it's a Chilean international. So I think you got to praise Morelia, because if you look at those 8 teams we saw, that's the team that stands out, because still it feels like they shouldn't be there. But you look further down, you look at the likes of Chivas, you look at the likes of Pachuca, and you think, you know, they're the ones that should be up there. I know, for example, Pachuca, absolutely forget all the sales. I mean, Pachuca got a lot of press about selling Irving Lozano, selling Eric Gutierrez, you know, Herrera. But Pachuca are kind of a little bit sick of people talking about them for producing the players now. Pachuca they need, and I don't think they've done it. I think the last 2 seasons. So if they don't make it this time, I think that'll be considered a real failure for Pachuca.
And I think that's where I'm kind of looking at. I mean, teams that if we're looking at the beginning of the season was going to miss the Liguilla. You know, and You have Tigres at 8th, who I think
Hmm.
everyone's just kind of like, oh, they'll make it. They'll be fine. But
Yeah.
they're still only 20 points. They're going to get that 7th, 6th spot maybe. Monterrey, who it's another team that you're kind of going, okay, at the beginning of the season, these guys are here.
Yeah, but it's a big game on Friday, Morelia against Tigres, over at Morelia, and I think Morelia get that win, they're basically in the playoffs, and Chivas will be out the playoff picture with 2 rounds of games to go. And I think it's a game that could define Tigres' season, because at the end of the day, if Tigres get 3 points, then nobody's going to be surprised if this team is champion. I mean, they've won the last 2 Apertura tournaments, so.
Yep.
Perfectly capable of winning, but I don't know. We saw it's like something's not right at Tigres. Something's not right. I mean, the squad is, for me, still the best in the league, but there's so much. It's not balanced at all. I mean,
It's gonna be a month since they've won a game. Think about that.
No, it's crazy.
This is Tigres. This is the best team that people have said with players and what we haven't. I think they haven't won a game since Querétaro.
No, and I mean, you're drawing at home to Lobos Buap over on Saturday, and basically they were gifted those 2 goals because Tonio Rodriguez, for me, they were both his fault. As a goalkeeper, you can't be spilling the ball right in front of Quiñones like that. I mean, you got to do better. So yeah, but Tigres, I mean, for me, and Nahuel Guzman as well, last minute, and he's just. He comes out off his goal line. He doesn't go for the ball, but he's not even on his line. And then Massa Rodriguez heads it over him. That's a bad mistake for an international goalkeeper in the last minute. So, but I mean, for me, what I don't understand, you got Jesus Dueñas as a left back. He's not a left back. He's doing a decent job, but he's not a left back. And you've got Ene Valencia on the bench. A lot of the season, you've had Eduardo Vargas on the bench. Ismael Sosa as well, who'd get into any other team in Liga MX. Let's not forget. I mean, he's a top player. He hardly plays at all. So I think there's underlying issues at Tigres. I think they need the off season. I think they need a restructuring. I think I'm pretty sure Rafael Duran, and I think he's the number 9, but he's been playing more on the wing. I think he's a big talent, but will Tuca back a player like him when Jurgen Damm comes back from injury, for example? So I don't know. I think
I'm gonna go with excuse me. I think Tuca's done. Like, I don't think he wants to be at Tigres.
No, I don't think he. I think he wanted the national team job, and I think it's a good question. Is that feeding into it as well?
I think so. I cannot remember a Tigres beating a good team. I'm thinking maybe Pumas. I think they're the only but if you kind of think back, I'm like, I'm trying to figure out a good game where Tigres was, came out winning against a good team this season. And I think the only one, because León beat Tigres. I mean, you have bad losses that you kind of go, and lots of ties. They couldn't beat Cruz Azul. They couldn't beat Club America. I think Pachuca beat them. They tied. Yeah, I mean, it tied Santos. They beat, I'm looking at. I think Pumas is the only big win for Tigres this season, and they're in 8th place.
Yeah, I mean, I still don't get Pumas, and I apologize for the Pumas fans.
It's true.
And I wrote today in a story I've been completely wrong about Pumas, because I think we just got to give loads of credit to David Patiño, because for me, he doesn't have a squad that should be up there, and he's managed to get the results. Obviously against Tijuana on Saturday, it wasn't beautiful. It wasn't a nice game, but at the end of the day, they've lost 2 out of 14 games. So at some point, you have to say, you've done well. But with Tigres, I think they need the off season. I think they need to I think there'll be quite a lot of movement this winter at Tigres, because I do think they need to sort things out. Even Juninho at the back, is he getting too old now for this league? Considering Mesa's back and the Colombian, and he could also come in. But I don't know. There's loads of things. It's Guido Pizarro and Carioca, both pretty much playing holding midfield. I mean, if you're so possession based like Tigres are, then why not play a more attacking midfielder? Instead of just playing. Why not just play Pizarro and change Carioca out for for Zelarayan, and then Zelarayan with Vargas in? I don't know, but It just seems to me, and looking at the stats, they've had a lot of possession as usual. Tigres, they always dominate possession, but they're not creating the chances with it. You know, they're not doing what they usually do. They're not getting the goals they should be doing for the amount of possession. But it also begs the question whether teams have finally worked them out. You know, or like if you look at Lobos WAP and the way they played, and also from a coaching standpoint, if you've conceded so many set pieces, goals from set pieces, that that's worrying. And I go back to the national team under Ferretti, and they've not looked at all good at set pieces. I mean, obviously he's not had a lot of time to play with them.
Yeah.
At the national team, but I don't know. I'm not convinced with Tigres right now. But that said, like at any moment they can turn it around because it's Tigres, and on an individual level, they've got the players to beat anybody on the day without any doubt.
Lots of conversation on the chat. Robert Cordova saying, "Do you think Chivas is pissed that Real Madrid fired their coach a month before the Club World Cup?" There you go, guys. Chivas wins the Club World Cup. I mean, it's not a superpower, a Cristiano Ronaldo type of team out there. That's hilarious. That is hilarious. I'm looking at Tigres' next 3 games. I think they honestly, I don't think they're gonna make the Liguilla. And we've always said Mr. Liguilla, Gignac, because then they have Monarcas, they have Puebla, and I guess it all depends on what Chivas is at, because they end the season with Chivas, but it'll be interesting to see. Pachuca there, the last 3 games, Necaxa, Atlas, León at the end, and then you have, much as Querétaro. Querétaro's got Veracruz, Santos, not gonna be easy. Veracruz and Necaxa, and then last, let me look at Guadalajara really quick. Puebla, León, and Tigres. All 3. I mean, Guadalajara has 3 going against 3 teams that are all fighting to be in that 8th spot.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the other thing for me that's kind of defined this season is that there's so little gap now between the teams. I mean, from what 1st to 5th, 3 points, but even 1st to 8th, 8 points. I mean, over 14 rounds of games, that's not very many. But I think because of that, it's all bunched up. I think some teams that I think have done quite well this season. For the example, Pachuca, I think have had an okay season.
Yeah, it started kind of crappy, and then all of a sudden,
yeah, new coach as well. Ayestaran, it's difficult coming in from Spain, and but they look really organized. I like they've got a bit of adaptability to him. I think Oyoa, the striker coming in from Leicester, I think he's now starting to click. But for example, Pachuca the other night against Veracruz, 3-0 up, and they almost draw. I mean, I don't know. That's worrying for me. But even Querétaro, I think under Rafa Puente, I think they're doing well. I mean, he's blooding new players. I like the team. Same with Puebla with Mesa. Considering what I look at the squad and I look where they are, and I think they're doing okay. You know what I mean? And I'd like to see those teams in the Liguilla, but I just think the other teams are too strong. I think Monterrey as well. It's been a difficult season for Diego Alonso. They've had an injury crisis. Obviously, Rodolfo Pizarro has struggled. I mean, I think that team was basically built around Aviles Hurtado. And now this has been a process of integrating Pizarro. I think he's had injuries that haven't been really reported that much. But it's been a difficult season. But I tell you what, I don't think they've done bad to be in 6th, considering the injuries they've had. The fact that I think they played with 3 players who'd not played, they only played a handful of games over the weekend against Santos, and Santos is the champion. But I think I know we can go through every team though, but Santos, I think they're not even the dark horses, they're the champions.
No.
I mean, for me right now, if you say who's the favorite for the title, I'd have to say Santos. To be honest. I mean, this is a team that unbeaten in 5 games. They've lost 1 game in 2018 at home. I mean, this is a team that absolutely gets the job done in Estadio Corona. And for me, I know a lot of people talk about Julio Furch, and obviously he's on 11 goals this season, which is remarkable. But for me, the key player for Santos this season has been Jonathan Rodriguez, because when Giannini left, that was my big question, because Giannini provided that almost X factor in the final third. You know, get the ball into the final third. Furch is a very good player, especially with his back to goal as well. But who's going to play? Who's he going to play off? Who's going to play off him? Sorry. And I think that's where Jonathan Rodriguez, the Uruguayan, he's just stepped up. I think he's been absolutely immense. And the other thing is the centre back. I mean, I wouldn't have put money on Santos, I don't think, to make the Liguilla if you'd have asked me in mid-August.
Yeah.
Because you had Nestor Araujo leave, you had Izquierdo's leave to Boca, you had Villafaña, who'd started most of the season at left back last season. You went back to Poland. And then you had Giannini, that top scorer last season, also leave. So for me, I was thinking 4 of your starting 11 basically last season have all gone. How are you going to replace that? But they've got Nervio and who's the other guy? I can't remember his name now. I think Brazilian at centre back, and they've just been. I mean, I don't know. You can't really praise what those two players have done enough, because they've been to replace, for me, what was the best centre-back partnership in the league in Araujo and Izquierdos, and to come in and do the job that Nervo and Doria, to do what they've done has been, I don't know. I mean, you can't. It says a lot about Santos's what goes on behind the scenes in terms of sporting intelligence, in terms of planning.
It's not a surprise that how Santos is behind the scenes of how great of a club it is.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they've I'm pretty sure Santos, like a lot of top clubs, will have a right. Okay, if Gaito Vasquez is sold in January, all right, what are the options? And I'm pretty sure they'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure it's a club that runs along those lines.
Yeah.
So yeah, for me, Santos right now the favorite.
You know that too. I've been working in media, working with the clubs and stuff, of how, if we look at institutions, how well Santos is. I mean, there's no surprise of how great that club and clubs that are ran well, right?
No, not all. I mean, Alejandro Iraragorri, he's over in London doing a conference. Then he's over in Texas the other day, and it's like it's for me, Santos' mentality is different, and it comes from the president. It's more language, man. Mexico's borders, and I don't know. For me, I'd love to see him be the Liga MX president or even the FMF president, because I just think he'd open it up, and he is friends with Desio Di Maria and all that kind of thing. But I just think Iraragorri would be, I don't know, like I've seen they sometimes have breakfast with media members.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of in the back of my head. I'm like, the access that we would have. Yeah, and not to mention, guys, like, one thing we love about Santos, we are communicating with that club. There's a club that is always, and thanks to, obviously thanks to the media team, right? Yeah. Thanks to Kim, and who we're all really good friends with, and we've known for a long time. I mean, we are connected with with Santos, and it just makes it, just in that aspect, you can see how it just transfers over as far as the club.
No, it helps a lot. I mean, doing the job helps a lot. I mean, I always think that there's so many stories in the Mexican game. There's so many good stories out there, but they're very hard to tell. You know what I mean? It's very hard to get them out, because a lot of people it's very hard to, I don't know, the mentality is to kind of close doors rather than open. And that's completely different with Santos. And I'd say they're still their only club, really, that are completely like open. That. Yeah.
Totally agree. All right, really quick, and before we kind of switch talk to Liga MX, Club America and Cruz Azul.
Did you watch the game?
It's you kind of look at it and you kind of go, I don't know. I knew it was gonna be a tie. Like, I didn't think there was gonna be, as far as goals being scored. I saw that game from the very beginning. I go, that's gonna be a tie.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. It wasn't one of those where, obviously it wasn't a
crazy like rivalry.
Yeah, it wasn't 3-3, but I thought from a tactical point of view, it was really interested. And I don't know, I'm a big fan of Caixinha. I think he brings a lot to the league. I like the way he speaks. He winds people up. I love it. I love the way he kind of just messes with people, and he loves doing it with Herrera. He did it when he was with Santos, and he's been doing it recently. But yeah, I mean, I thought that Cruz Azul will look at that game, and you know, they weren't brilliant. Let's not say they were absolutely amazing, but I think they'll look at that game and think, and I wrote this what I wrote about today, and I think they'll just think, why not us this season? You know, why not us? I mean, we've hit the woodwork a couple of times. You know, I think for the first half they were the better team. I don't think they created enough, especially after the break. But you know, why not us? We can. You know, we've got the flexibility. We've got the defense. I mean, the best defense in the league. I don't think America created all that much, considering they're the best offense in the league. And so I thought, you know, Cruz Azul, I'd say they came out of that, I don't know, just with a bit more confidence. And now they go into the Copa MX final against Monterrey. I'll tell you what, if they win a trophy there as well, get that boosted confidence. And
yeah,
we talked about how, you know, tight the league is and there's not much difference between the teams. But I just in terms of when you look at a playoff, I just like this Cruz Azul team. I like the way they can shut down the game. I like the way they're so tight in the back. And I think that they can get far. I mean, you never know, but I think this is a team. You're struggling with that one.
I don't think so. I really think that this Cruz Azul is like the old Cruz Azul. Not before they really were sticking it up, not even going to Liga. Like the Cruz Azul that's going to give you hope. Like I can just see that happening again. Doing so well throughout the season, but that's good for him because they'll be in the final. Like I can see him coming to the final or doing well, and then you know that pressure is going to be mounting up. But
yeah, but this is why I like Caixinha, because he's bringing in the psychological stuff.
I'll give you the Caixinha. That's something that I've never had before.
Yeah, he's working with the players, and I tell you what, the other thing they've not had,
the Azteca.
Oh yeah, the Azteca.
It's actually true because
little things like that help. Because where they won the titles, you know, it's a change of scenery, and it's what the club needed. And they needed, you know, they've got Caixinha, they've got to change the scenery. But the other thing they've got is look at the bench. Look at the bench against America. You know, it's competing with America's bench. It's competing with not quite, but it's competing with Tigres' bench. And I think those are the little things that really do help. I mean, you know, Caixinha was a surprise because he left Baca on the bench, Rafa Baca, and he put on Salas. And I think it was directly because he wanted Salas to get behind Mateus Uribe and isolate Guido Rodriguez. And you know, he thought they could exploit the space there because Uribe pushes forward a lot. So, but I mean, you know, Mena on the bench, Rafa Baca on the bench. A lot of people saying he should be in the national team. He's on the bench. Caraglio, who for me, I really like Caraglio. Lichnowsky, who was absolutely brilliant for Necaxa. You know, I was sure he was going to start for Cruz Azul. Montoya, Renteria, who played a lot for Santos, and you know, it's a strong bench. And I think that's Caixinha has been given the cards to go for a championship run. Obviously, it remains to be seen whether they can actually do. I just personally think they're really well praised, and I think that, you know, America, we got to praise Miguel Herrera, because he's got it together, the top of the league. I mean, it's a great achievement what they've done this season. I don't think they've been at the absolute best either. I think they've got another gear to step up to. But the big question with Herrera isn't the regular season. We know he's very, very good. He was good with Cholos. The playoffs. That's for me the difference between Herrera and Caixinha, and where I'd go with Caixinha every time is that over 180 minutes, I think tactically Caixinha is on a different level than Herrera. The little tweaks, the little details, I think at this in the playoffs really do help. And Herrera's more about, you know, poner huevos, you know, stuff like that. And I don't think it really carries in the modern game as much.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the talent that Herrera has in his teams have carried him at times. You know, when you look at that. I mean, if he's not to say he's a lucky manager, because he deserves everything when he got to the national team. But if you're looking at it, I mean, it was somebody's foot that won that Cruz Azul game, which ultimately got him the national team job, which ultimately got him, you know, it's and we've seen that before. It's like that coaching aspect of it. So
yeah.
So you think Tigres makes it in?
I do. I think they'll get over the line. I think they'll get over the line. Well, what I would say is, again, I think it's worth pointing out that if Mexico didn't have a playoff system, they won what, 4 games? Is it four games in 14 this season. I mean, it's not good enough. And I feel like sometimes teams like that are constructed to be champion, there's no reason that Tigres shouldn't be, and they have done, to be fair. But when things go wrong like this season, five wins in 14, and I think they need calling out as well and saying, with the talent that Tigres have got, Tuca Ferretti this season hasn't got enough out of them. Like, it's as simple as that.
Yeah, they've won the same amount as León. They've had Puebla, Querétaro, Pachuca. You have those 5-game. I think Chivas only won 4. Yeah, Chivas only Club Tijuana Cup 4. All right. Let's switch over. We talked a lot about Liga MX, and I kind of wanted to get your thoughts. We talked about the Tata Martino news last week. It's kind of now becoming, it's pretty much in. But Tom, you tweeted out today some news out of Argentina that they're still maybe talking to Tata Martino about taking the Argentine job. I would think if it came down to both federations, Tata Martino doesn't choose Mexico and goes to Argentina again to prove. But again, it's pretty screwed up on what's happening and on the federation and all that. But
yeah,
it's not like he left with the highest of honors there. And if they're,
I mean, he left because he didn't like the way things were working, and specifically because certain teams, especially River and Boca, weren't releasing the players. And so Tata Martino basically said, if you're not going to release me the players, then what's the point of me carrying on? We know it's a mess in Argentina right now, but yeah, I mean, there's a report on, I think, on ESPN Argentina and also TNT saying that he's the number 1 choice for Argentina and that they're confident that they can get him. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Tata Martino goes to, we were 100% sure maybe Tuca, not 100%, but people were saying that Tuca would be it. Tuca doesn't do well with Tigres. Tata Martino is no longer an option.
No, I don't think. I think the Tuca boat has sailed for now. I'd say that. Yeah, I still think Martino's gonna be the national team manager. I think they've agreed terms. I think that the federation are confident that he's going to percentage probability that something else is going to come up, that it's going to be a really good offer, and obviously he's Argentine, and if the Argentinian job comes up again, then he's not signed anywhere else, then he'll at least have a listen. But yeah, I mean, personally, I really hope Mexico can seal the deal. I think it'd be absolutely massive. I think, I'd be so excited to have Martino. I think he's pretty close to the ideal manager for the Mexican national team. Honestly, I don't know. What do you think? No,
it's true. I mean, when we look at, I was, when we look at what coaches and who was coming in, I was always just kind of skeptical on, we needed to have that coach that's had the experience in all levels. The reason why we didn't get to the 5th game, I still believe, is Piojo not having the experience as a coach in a national level against caliber coaches. And Tata Martino has, whether it's to say it was successful at Barcelona or not, it's still been in the highest of leagues with the best players, and knows that side that I don't think anyone that's coached Mexico has had. Yeah. It would be the most experienced coach to come out and play and be coach of Mexico. Then go to Ericsson, I would say, but it would be as far as that. But there would be
Menotti. I think Menotti's up there, but that was a long time ago as well. But yeah, I think in terms of and obviously Martino, the difference between Martino and Ericsson, I think there's 2 big differences. 3: the language, the experience in Latin America. Because people talk about CONCACAF and this and that. I mean, if you work in a Latin American federation, it's not the same, but you get the idea. I mean, there's certain things that go on behind the scenes, and you have to roll with the punches, if you know what I mean.
Language is huge. It's kind of funny because I definitely would like to look at, as far as language and national team managers that didn't speak that language, especially with Latin America. I think you can go the other way around. Latin American or somebody that doesn't speak English comes into an English-speaking club or speaking nation and is able to translate because of English. But on the other way around, maybe an English manager or someone that with another language coming into a Latin American country, especially the culture and all that. I really would just like to see if they've been successful.
No, it's difficult. I mean, it's difficult. It is. It is. I think if you go way back, then obviously there were European managers, more of them who didn't speak Spanish. But no, it's difficult. I mean, I don't know. Martino, I think for me, he pretty much checks all the boxes. I mean, you look at what he's done with Paraguay in 2010,
which is probably his biggest success. Wouldn't you think?
I think winning the league with Newell's. I mean, when he took over Newell's after the Paraguay job, they were fighting relegation and they won the title. I mean, that was a massive achievement. And then they got to the semi-final of the Libertadores the same year that Xolos, I think, were up there. So that's obviously a big achievement. But I mean, it's the Paraguay one that does stand out. I do agree with you, because you look at the group of players he had, and he did have some good players. He had the likes of Nelson Valdez, he had Roque Santa Cruz, but they didn't have Messi. You know what I mean? They didn't have players that that were playing for Madrid and Man United and Juventus. I mean, they had good, solid players, and for him to get to quarterfinal, and kind of only lose a quarterfinal to a late goal from Spain, and Paraguay actually missed a penalty in that game as well. And then to get the Paraguay team to the Copa America final, I know they had a bit of luck going through, but Paraguay qualified under Martino in third place in the South American qualifiers, behind Brazil and Bielsa's Chile. And so to get a team that for me didn't have as much talent as some of the teams below him, the likes of Uruguay, the likes of Argentina, they qualified ahead of Argentina. I mean, I think that's a massive achievement. I think he's dealt with the pressure before, with the Argentina job, with the Barcelona. He knows how to deal with the press. He's managed in 4 countries. And what he's done with Atlanta. I mean, let's not forget, we talk about the translation. I mean, to go to somewhere where it's not your first language, and I don't think he still speaks that great English, and to do what he's done in MLS, it doesn't really matter if they win the league or not. I mean, obviously it'd be great for Mexico if they did, but it's been a kind of cultural, I don't know, revolution, but the way he's kind of brought in these South American players and kind of got them playing this type of football, which is possession based and expanding the pitch, making it as big as possible, and mixing it with more direct teams. I think it's been another accomplishment for Martino. So I'm really excited about it. I don't know. I don't think he's. I don't know. I think a lot of people right now think that the older generation of players that we saw at the World Cup are suddenly going to disappear. I mean, if you look at Martino's past, he's one of his quotes that I read recently was saying that why do people think that a national team is about playing a guy who's 20 years old? He's like, the 34-year-old has the same chance as the 20-year-old. You know what I mean? So he's very much kind of he's very much somebody who he's going to give the older players a chance as well.
Yeah, it's about getting the best team at the moment right now, and ultimately the World Cup is, which a lot of people just kind of skip and go, okay, well, why are we having these guys? But I still think the level of being in that team and learning from your players, I think it's huge.
Yeah, I mean, in Newell's in 2013 when they're in the Copa Libertadores, and they won the league, it was Gabriel Heinze who came over from Europe, and Maxi Rodriguez and Skoko. I mean, those were the 3 kind of fundamental. But even going back to Tata Martino's playing career, I think was it 91 when Newell's won the title.
He was old boys.
He was the experienced player. He was the experienced head. Playing in kind of a number 10, maybe a bit deeper, maybe more of a number 8, but very, very technical player. And he was the experienced head of that team. And so I think he realizes, because of his experience as a player as well, because Bielsa had a real young team, and then Martino was kind of the leader. It's quite funny actually, because Martino apparently didn't run around very much, and then Bielsa came in, and all the other players. I think there's a quote from Poch, is like, all of us young guys looked at Martino and thought, oh man, if Martino's running, then we better run as well. So yeah, no, if they get him, it's going to be very exciting. The only doubt that I have, and it's got nothing to do with the football, I just wonder is he going to get absolutely? I mean, it's the same. I think most managers you'd say the same. But is he going to get sick of the press conferences, the same questions, the fracaso, obligado, crisis, the same questions we get all the time in the Mexican press?
He's been in Argentina, man.
Yeah, but I just feel like
he's been in Barcelona, and he got everything written about him in Barcelona too.
Yeah, definitely. But this is my worry though. With Argentina and with Barcelona, I think as a manager, you go in there and
because they're big teams, you kind of go, "This is what I expect."
Yeah, this is what you expect because
you're Mexico. Who are you expecting a World Cup? You're only Mexico.
I mean, you can win. Your mission is to win the World Cup with Argentina. Your mission with Barcelona is to win the league. I mean, with Mexico, the mission is what to qualify, to win the Gold Cup. All right, I don't know. For me, yeah, win the Gold Cup. All right, qualify without any problem for the World Cup. That's still very, very important. And then reach the fifth game. I mean, that's the basic. That's the basic kind of job description, no? I mean, if he does all those things, it's been wildly successful. But I'll tell you what, I was looking at some of his stats as well. In 2010, when Paraguay got to the quarterfinals, he made 6 changes from the round of 16 to the quarters. Rotaciones. So, I don't know. I think we'll see. Anyways,
I think it's just interesting. We're talking about Paraguay too, and we kind of went over this of Juan Carlos Osorio still, all the problems that he's having right now too, in Paraguay.
Yeah, I don't understand that. I mean, honestly think I got to know Osorio a little bit with the Mexican national team and follow him around, and I think Osorio's problem is I think he needs somebody to work with him with the press, because sometimes things come out and he says things at just the wrong time. You know what I mean? There's a time and a place to come out with statements. And I think Osorio, maybe it's because he was never a big player. Maybe because a lot of these managers like Martino, for example, he knows the press from his time as a player. He's completely adept at knowing when's a good time to speak, when not a good time to speak. I think Osorio's problem is he's speaking when he doesn't need to speak. You know what I mean? I thought he did that in Mexico as well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
a couple of times,
he should have said no to all the TV interviews. You know what I mean? And I think that because he said yes to them all, other people kind of got annoyed with him for it, because it's very political in Mexico with the media.
Interesting enough. All right, Tom, we're kind of getting to our close. Is there anything that you would think would keep you away? I mean, we talked about Argentina, but do you see anything else keeping Tata Martino away from this Mexico job?
Yeah, I mean, you never know. Until it's signed, you never know. I mean, it's also the way Mexico runs as well. I mean, you just don't know what's around the corner. You honestly don't. I mean, until it's absolutely signed, then it's going to be, I find it interesting that Martino has taken this job. I mean,
I was just kind of thinking about that too, because I'm like, I just think that the U.S. soccer is just going like, wow. Like, I would think that this is someone that came, MLS knows it's successful. Still looking for that type of coach. Wouldn't be a great candidate for the U.S.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I love, kind of the Marcelo Bielsa school of coaching, and Martino's directly from that. So it depends what the US wants. I mean, I think Mexico, that's the path it's going down. It went that path with Osorio. Though Osorio, obviously, the tweaks, especially with the playing taller players and players who are good in the air in certain positions, which is every man has got the right to do that. But with Martino, I think Mexico are going down a line, and I like it. You know what I mean? It shows consistency. But with the United States, I mean, I don't know. It's difficult. I don't know. I think what happened with Klinsmann kind of burned them in a way. I think, and we've seen it with Mexico before, where they go with a foreign manager with a name, they're a domestic manager, and then they go with a big foreigner. When that doesn't work out, and then they come back to a domestic. And that's what it feels like for the United States. But, I don't know this, who's the guy, Greg, what's he called? Greg?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know enough about him to know that if he's the right person to do this on the world stage, because at the end of the day, that's the most exciting thing about football, and especially national teams. You've got to do it against different teams in the world that play different styles, that have different types of players. So hopefully for the US, then get it together so that they can at least qualify in it for the next one.
Well, interestingly enough, Mexico's playing Argentina in November. Yeah, I wonder if Tata Martino, his conversation is going to be brought up there. Tom, are you going to try to make it over there? And it's summertime.
I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure.
Maybe take a little trip to Rosario. Go see where Tata Martino's grown up. Do a whole like cool story about Tata Martino. You're already there. There you go. Just give me your next big story.
Yeah, that'd be good. I'd love to go. I'd love to go there, but
we'll see you. We'll see you. All right, guys. Lots and lots of people right now in the chat, and you guys had amazing conversations. I was reading up on it. At times, I stopped listening to Tom for a bit because I was like, dang. This is good conversations. If you know, over 100, over 67, 70 comments on there. So definitely, if you're listening to us on iTunes and you want to get to the chat, come on Monday, 7 o'clock. It's a lot of fun. But we want to thank you all for listening. Just Tom and I today saying a special happy birthday to Mr. Cesar Hernandez, who celebrated. Oh, is it today or tomorrow?
Tomorrow. Well, Tuesday, yeah.
Yeah, Tuesday. Tomorrow. So, that guy is turned 21. We'll just keep it at that because, I don't know. I voted somebody's age. Who knows? And then Adriana, hopefully she didn't. I know she was struggling trying to get to the show, and she said she was in big traffic. Hopefully she got home okay. But Tom, always a pleasure to be on the show. I know you're gone for a couple of weeks. Here comes La Liguilla. We got some Mexico games in November. And it kind of closes off. I still think there's big news coming up with if it's apparently beginning in December is when they're going to announce, and they have contracts with Tata Martino. In fact, I think TV Azteca, or I think Jorge Ramos is the one that's quoting like December 8th is going to be the time. So, those guys know exact dates of when it's going to happen. Who knows? But I still think we've seen this before when everyone thinks that this is going to be a manager, and then all of a sudden it's not. Adriana saying it's the worst kept secret. It's going to be Tata Martino. So we'll see how it goes. All right, guys, amigos, thank you so much for all the conversations. Thank you so much for all the Twitter and the retweets. I want to thank Miss Amy Lopez, who is producing the show and doing an amazing job tweeting away and quoting. If you have any questions, reach out to us on all of our media channels, and we'll try to answer them. We'll continue to having the Mexican Soccer Show every Monday, 7 p.m. And for me, next week, daylight savings times. I think it already happened for you in Mexico, right, Tom?
Yeah, extra hour.
For the rest of the country, obviously, for me, it changed. I don't change, right? So there's no daylight savings times for me. So now, I think 8 o'clock is that when I have to do it? Man, I've never gone through the whole daylight changing my clocks or anything like that. So we'll figure it out. So I think for everybody, it should still be the same around the same time, except if you're living if you're watching us not in the U.S. or in Arizona, you're gonna have to watch it an hour later, I believe. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. We'll continue with the Mexican Soccer Show next week. Tom, thanks again. Hasta la próxima.
Bye bye.